Level. The theme of the level will reveal how to distinguish truth from falsehood. Literally, to see with one's own eyes the color of truth and the color of falsehood. I will begin with theory, without which practice is meaningless. It is not enough to know how to walk. One must understand where to go. This information serves as a catalyst for the transition of consciousness into a new reality. A reality where a person encounters meanings that go beyond the animal program of life. 1. The necessity of thinking. Thinking simplistically means finding ways to change reality in one way or another. The ability to think lies in the thought process whose result is the discovery of possibilities to change reality. Let me remind you that reality encompasses both the world and your understanding of it. To think means to successfully apply certain knowledge already opened in reality. For example, solving a crossword, driving a car, keeping accounting records, etc. It is known that those who can think often have trouble reasoning and vice versa. These are extremes. The balance lies in the middle, not quantitatively but qualitatively, we might say naturally. 70% of a person's reasoning occurs, while 30% attempts to think. These 30% pertain to the spiritual, inner world, where ready-made templates are unacceptable and one must independently search for new possibilities from the existing impossible. This deferment arises from the lack of demand for new ideas in society, on one hand, and the visibility of existing methodologies, concepts, and stereotypes on the other. A person does not notice their fixation on accepted information because it is accepted thoughtlessly as a given. Furthermore, a spiritually limited person simply lacks conscious needs that would require thought for their realization. In a consumer society, a person is oriented towards pleasures, seeking them within reality. What does not bring pleasure is perceived as meaningless, while any activity that does not provide moral satisfaction or physical pleasure to a spiritually limited person is regarded as pointless. This is because they lack lofty goals. Nails might need to be hammered in, but not with a microscope. Thus, the laws of society self-regulate the quantity of fine optics. In other words, thinking people are very few in society. The irony is that a person is not an instrument for executing prescribed operations. They are capable of rearranging themselves to various levels of perception of reality. The analogy is, a slave is not one who wears a collar, but one who is content to be a slave. Currently, in our country, a noticeable distortion is emerging. Remnants of thinking are being replaced by reasoning and acquired experience. The accessibility of information creates the illusion of being informed. Morality and spirituality have become unnecessary as behavioral templates have emerged. Signalers, made common through television and the internet. Just as animals engage in mating games, people engage in fashion, slang, and stereotypes derived from instincts. Mass manipulators have long understood that the best way to satisfy societal needs is to instill the idea that salt is sugar, that bitter is sweet, that bad is good, that the foolish is wise, and vice versa. For this, a substitution of concepts occurs. Animal instincts are prioritized as the main needs of a human being. Spiritual values are rejected against this backdrop. Modern society places a false mask of respectability on a person, behind which lies a void of loneliness and unrealized potential. In such a society, following one's desires and yielding to emotions can lead to degradation. However, if one can grasp the significance of the voice of emotions, then feelings, as conduits of truth, open the path to spiritual development. What drives one in one direction or another? The information of cultural heritage intertwined with meaning relative to life situations can only be revealed by feelings and the ability to assimilate information from cultural heritage through the intellect and the voice of feelings. When a person starts to understand the voice of feelings, self-awareness in reality occurs. A person understands the purpose of their life and sets goals that led to their realization. Self-awareness occurs at the moment when a person sets lofty goals for themselves. Then meaning appears in thinking, this threshold, after which the process of thinking becomes chained, natural, and ongoing because it is essential for life, and on deeper conscious levels, it is immediate. Ultimately, the mind expands the informational channel with the world by touching truth through feelings and the constructions of reason as if continuing in it, growing. One must begin the process of self-awareness with the awareness of surrounding reality, which means thinking persistently, motivated, and purposefully. To think means to conduct a logical analysis of a phenomenon concerning a set goal. To conclude what a particular goal carries concerning the voice of feelings. In the process of such analysis, life priorities are established to resolve life and spiritual questions, gaining the experience of understanding the voice of feelings more profoundly and setting new goals. Thinking is a verb that denotes the process of creating a reality of meanings in which a person exists. In other words, during the analysis of the voice of feelings concerning the irritants of the surrounding world, an internal world of a person is created. Without successful analysis of feelings, a person's worldview is no different from that of an animal. In such a world, only simple meanings, arising in response to irritants from the environment, hold significance for the person, while everything else is uninteresting. Thinking has motive and purpose. In this sense, to think is akin to walking. The key aspect of the thought process is motivation. It serves as a spark in the engine. Motivation typically implies achieving some kind of result, effect, or meaning. Understanding the voice of feelings leads to the establishment of lofty goals. The result of the essence and will of a person should contribute constructively to reality. In the modern world, there is a widespread belief that it is unnecessary, harmful, and meaningless for an ordinary person to think. And this is true. For a person without a high purpose in life, thinking is meaningless, akin to walking in circles. They instinctively understand this and agree. Therefore, to encourage a person to think, to stimulate them to use thinking to leave the orbit of mundane priorities, they must first ignite an interest, provide a spark, and a sense of purpose. The meaning is laid within the goal. The meaning of seeking to change the world arises in the realization that people are dying of hunger, children are harvested for organs, parents destroy their children, and vice versa. Injustice as a norm invades reality, and the concept of humanity disappears from the consciousness of society and the individual. The light within a person that distinguishes them from an animal fades. Feelings and faith in the possibility of a bright future, in which high thoughts are realized, diminish. Faith in love and justice fades. Any person who feels within themselves the ability to resist destruction will never reconcile with injustice or agree to it. They will seek an alternative to destruction in creation, searching for why things could be different and for what purpose. Perhaps they will invent a perpetual motion machine, which is indeed possible, delve into space and time, or create a random number generator based on the structure of DNA. Along the way, new possibilities for changing themselves and the world will unfold before them. In practice, it is known that not everyone is capable of empathizing with the sufferings of those around them. Indifferent people possess a sense of rhythm. They seem to be glued to the order of things, nailed down, and tearing them away is absolutely not allowable. They would lose their minds. The analogy of an ant in space applies here. The crude term motivation is equivalent to the concept of aspiration. It is the only thing capable of dissolving the deaf darkness of society's flawed reality.